the safety of our water. And on campus here, John Setkowski and his team, Sandro Silvestri, executed a spot check of some of our more old infrastructure on that point, and that analysis came back within normal levels and no danger associated with our water. I'll tell you that the report rivals the financial information for the most exciting part of our, but the good news is that it's not problematic, and if you would like to see that report, I'm happy to send it to you all, but buckle your seatbelt, it's exciting reading, and I'm being very, very facetious. I think it was Trustee Barry asked for enrollment data, particularly compared to other community colleges in Southeast Michigan and or in the similar size enrollment across our state.
For the fall of 18, right?
Yes. I forwarded you a document 4 days ago, I believe, and that document is voluntarily submitted by institutions, and some of them you know didn't submit the information, so it's unverified, but Dr. Gonko did do some of her own analysis of that, so I think you can rely on it to a large degree. Of course, we will be reporting to you, Dr. Gonko, I believe, is in April with the required and verified data associated with that. I also wanted to make you aware of something that Dr. Gonko's team is doing that I hope helps your service on the board here. I hope that it helps us make decisions as administrators of the college. And that is, I gave her the broad task of gathering and wielding the large amounts of data that her office in the Office of Institutional Research and Reporting, that office gathers data every year. And Dr. Gonko's predecessor, Becky Chadwick, noted to me very early in my tenure that she had struggled to find ways that we could leverage that data to make important and informed decisions as administrators. And when Dr. Gonko started in her current role, I asked her if she had ideas about how to do that. And I'm proud that she is taking many steps in that regard. But one of the ways she's doing that is, and I'm moderately embarrassed to say that this is the case, but still today, when we give surveys to students who complete or leave our institution to try and gather why they left or what they're doing after they've completed, we were mailing those in the United States Postal Service, and we were doing it right about now, when everyone was usually doing something other than filling out surveys for Henry Ford College. So Dr. Gonko has turned that survey into an electronic survey, which is what most of the people in our audience of our sample would want, and she'll be mailing that out electronically in, I believe, the middle or late January, where we hope to have the sample size, at least the reportable sample size, significantly larger so that we can make better decisions about how our graduates are doing and how our leavers and why our leavers are leaving. And here's the part that's a little bit embarrassing. I think our reporting was less than 5%. Is that right, Dr. Gonko? So we just really weren't leveraging the opportunity to find out why people and how people do when they leave Henry Ford College. Yes, Trustee Pelishkov.
I have a quick question about that. What email addresses will you be using? Because if they left, how do we know that they're going to even be looking at and accessing email address that was associated with the college in the first place?
Dr. Gonko, you can come up to the podium if you want, and I'll tell you, Trustee Pelishkov, Dr. Gonko didn't know I was going to subject her to analysis here, but she's pretty sharp. So
they always know I'm going to ask that question sometime.
Well, when students do apply to the college, we do collect their personal email address, so we give them a Henry Ford email address as well. When we mail out our graduate survey or our leaver survey, what we're intending to do is to hit both email addresses just in case they're still checking their HFC, and then we can also use their personal as well.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we had some other address to use. Okay, great, thank you.
Any other questions for Dr. Gonko? The last thing I'll talk to you all about is my trip to Lansing today. I sent an email to you all, I believe it was Friday, it may have been Saturday, noting that we were invited to Lansing, where the executive office noted that they were going to make final decisions on funding for the Marshall Plan for talent. Now, you may recall that this was Governor Snyder's initiative begun about a year and a month ago, hoping to inject funds into what he was calling consortia, or collections of institutions that span from a P through 12, community college, four-year college, and industry employers, funding those types of entities that were grouping themselves in either geographic areas or subject matter areas. And I tasked my team with getting engaged in that actively and aggressively, and that's exactly what they did. So Henry Ford College was part of 3 consortia, basically looking at the things that Henry Ford College is interested in responding to in the jobs needs of Southeast Michigan, which you all have heard me talk about many times, but it's essentially information technology, healthcare, skilled trades, and workforce development. And for context, this program, the Marshall Plan, was an open application process, and the 3 consortia that we joined applied, and there were 3 steps that each consortia had to get through. And all 3 of the consortia that we joined got through the first 3 steps. I think there were some 85 consortia across the state that applied, and they winnowed it down to 22 and invited us all to Lansing, which I was really hopeful meant we were going to get funded in all 3. Unfortunately, only 9 of the 22 actually were funded in this first round of funding. And that included 2 of the 3 that we were part of. Now, the legislature funded $100 million for these types of funding requests, and the executive office doled out $15 million today. The remaining $85 million in the current legislation would be doled out in various other rounds of funding. So this was round 1, with, I believe, 3 more rounds of funding. Is that right, Dr. Nealon?
Yes.
With 3 more rounds of funding. And we're hopeful that the new administration will endorse this, because we put a lot of time in, as did the other consortia, and we do believe that the things we put forth were worthy of funding. So let me tell you a little bit about the consortia that were not funded and were funded. The biggest consortia that we were involved in, consortium that we were involved in, and the one that we actually were the convener or the center of, was a consortium that was associated with Dearborn Public Schools, Taylor Public Schools, the Downriver Career and Technical Consortia, and it was, I think, if not the largest, one of the largest consortiums that applied, and that was not funded today. Now, the good news about that is that the next round should be open for applications in January. They want to move this money quickly, I believe. And they being the executive office, will give us feedback on where and how we may have come up short. I can tell you that my team and Dr. Maleko's team have put a lot of work into this, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have about details about the consortium and what we were hoping to accomplish with this round of funding, and what I can tell you we will be fighting for in the next round of funding. If you have any questions for me, please let me know. Now, we were also part of 2 other consortiums that did receive funding today. One is in partnership with the University of Detroit Mercy and Melvindale Public Schools for training in robotics and technical illustration. The other thing this thing focuses on is workforce development. I believe the funding that will go through this consortium is a little bit north of $500,000. And The last consortium that was funded, that we were part of, was the Detroit Public Schools Consortium, where we were, along with Wayne County Community College District, as the two-year partners taking part in that consortium. So I have to say, this is definitely an opportunity to look at the glass half full or the glass half empty. And I'll tell you, I'm looking at it as glass half full, and our team will forge ahead to seek funding in January, but very likely, irrespective of whether we get funded or not, we will continue to put forth the effort on the actual planning that we did in our proposal, which is to try and find a smooth pipeline for children in those school districts that include Dearborn Public Schools, to get through our curriculum and then on to meaningful careers. So, the last thing I'll brief you on in issues related to Lansing is the capital outlay request. You have all heard me talk about that, probably ad nauseum. Reginald Best and I have probably talked a few ears off in Lansing about that. I think my trips to Lansing number more than 5. There is one more week of lame duck legislation to be had. There is, by my estimation, I think north of $320 million that the legislature has to decide whether to spend or to pass on to the new administration. We have been advocating to, frankly, anyone who will listen, but the governor's office, leaders in the House and leaders in the Senate, that they should spend money on our technical expansion. But that may cause you to wonder why one of your board reports is related to the fiscal year 2020 capital outlay request. And I'll tell you that's because not knowing what will happen in tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday's last day of legislative session, if we are unlucky and are not funded, then we'll be going back next year to ask for the same funding, which is what this board report speaks to. I have every hope in my body that this board report is worthless because we get funded in the next 3 days. But then again, if we don't get funded, we'll be back fighting again. So, Trustee Thorpe, I went longer than I usually do, but Dewey's time doesn't count against mine. And that's all I have, except to say, thank you for this will be the end of my 6th month with you all. Thank you for the time to serve you. I hope that you all have a wonderful holiday season. The college will be ending its calendar year here in the next couple days, and I wish all the staff at Henry Ford College safe and wonderful holidays, Happy New Year, and I'm proud to be from Dearborn. That's where I'm excited to be spending holidays.
Thank you. Any questions? Next item, please.
Discussion items, Henry Ford College capital outlay submission, fiscal year 2020. Board report 4471, Vice President Sarkowski. Did you cover that, or?
I think it's covered.
I think we've covered
I
that.
think the President's report covered half of the agenda.
It's the same report that we did last year,
Okay.
we changed the dates.
I'm going to give you the opportunity if you have something to
That's what I
add.
was going to ask, so we're just going to resubmit the exact same.
That's right. And
This is our way of getting it funded in the next 3 days.
Yeah, well,
So
we
actually,
might.
Trustee Thorpe, that wasn't too bad, half the agenda is gone. Moving on. Board trustees, policy updates, Trustee Hamud?
Yeah, thank you. We did have a policy meeting today. Trustee Petlicoff and Chair Mead joined in. We did review policy specifically pertaining to Proposal 1 that was passed on the ballot this November. Good news is all proposals passed. Bad news is we cannot smoke marijuana on campus. Sorry.
Or eat it.
So we had to make sure, exactly. We wanted to make sure that our policies are updated. This is not something that is specific to Henry Ford College. All institutions across Michigan are adopting this. We added to our current policies regarding drug and alcohol policy, even smoking policy, even though some things are legal outside You can smoke, obviously, in your privacy of the streets, own home, but we do have policies here on campus, and now we're just adding marijuana to our already existing policies. So this is normal, and we are just following the law in this specific case, making sure that our language is consistent with the law that was passed and consistent with the policies that are passed throughout the institutions across the state. So hopefully you'll have an opportunity to read this. We wanted to make sure that we pass this as soon as possible. I know that we had hoped we get this on the next agenda for our next meeting, which is the P12 meeting, and I believe that is January 10th. Am I correct? Where we can vote on this?
Yeah.
7th?
14th.
No, the
Next meeting?
the P12,
The P12
Oh, it would be 14, yeah.
14th.
The
yeah.
14th, so January 14th, we'll include it on that agenda.
Dr. Maliko, did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And that is just to ensure that this isn't just for students, this is us for employees. So we wanted to make sure that we had it in effect as soon as possible.
Okay, any more questions, observations? Next item, please.
Next item is action items. Citizen participation. Citizens wishing to address the board on agenda and non-agenda items for action who have submitted a blue card to the secretary may speak at this time. Mr. Chair, I don't have any blue cards.
Okay.
Next item is special consideration of action item. Are there any action items on this agenda which board members or the president wish to discuss and vote on separately? If there are, we will exclude them from the action item below.
Trustee Thorpe?
I had a question on number 13, but I don't need it to be voted separate.
Recommended action. Move to approve action items numbered 1 through 16 as recommended in this agenda. So moved.
Support?
It's been moved and supported. Let's go to the item that Trustee Thorpe wishes to discuss.
It mentioned for number 13 that this is a temporary position in some of the reports that we received. What does temporary mean to us? Is it a one-year position, 2 years?
Dr. Gonko or Dr. Glass, do either of you want to address that?
I can address it. So the Local 71 contract allows for 12-month appointments for
Okay.
interim. So if it were to be extended, we would need to make a decision whether to create or convert it to a regular position or ask for an extension.
So would that mean then calendar year 2019, but we usually do most of our budgeting middle of the year?
Correct. This would be a 12-month appointment starting their start date, so it would cross budget lines.
Okay.
Trustee Thorpe, well, Dr. Gonko, can you give a brief summary of why we're doing this?
So in November of 2019, we have our HLC on-site visit. We're
What's
already
HLC?
making Higher Learning Commission. My apologies. So we're already making preparations for that. We're starting to write our assurance argument that has to be submitted in October and doing all of the required work surrounding that. And my former position that I held under Becky Chadwick, I would have helped her with a lot of that. Now that I am in this interim position until that visit concludes, we are looking to have a temporary project manager come in to assist just until the visit to help pick up some of the pieces that I would have performed in my former position.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other?
And Trustee Thorpe, this is an internal employee who will be helping Dr. Gonko for the unique project of preparing for the Higher Learning Commission. Of course, the Higher Learning Commission is our accrediting body that whose blessing it is we seek to obtain federal funding.
My only question is when I saw temporary, just see if temporary stays temporary, if it becomes permanent.
Any other? Okay, so it's been, the action to approve action items has been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of this motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It's unanimous. Next item, please.
Next item, Board of Trustees, business. First item is acknowledgements of correspondence.
Yes, trustee Barry?
We received this beautiful holiday card from Steve Glazer and other HFC staff, so thank you very much, and take this opportunity to wish everybody a happy holiday.
Nothing, okay. Next item, please.
Board committee reports?
We have the policy.
We covered that already.
Policy, okay. Next item, please.
Request for information and/or future agenda items?
There are, yes.
Well, this also says board member commentary.
That's next item. So, misspelled.
All right, it's misprint.
We'll allow, go ahead, board member commentary.
President Mead, good job this year.
Thank you. Thank you, but I think I need to say a few words. Okay. I need to thank an awful lot of people for supporting me while I was doing this particular job. The next person will do a super job, Ms. Petlikoff, but I have to thank the board members, the superintendent and his staff, the president and his staff, because can't do this without staff members. And I have to thank the citizens of Dearborn for giving us that millage passage, because that's 5% of our budget. And basically, it's the only kind of money that we have to move forward, since we spend most of the budget on human resources and fringe benefits and maintenance of the college. So also like to thank AGB Search Committee that was headed up by Dr. Carlos Hernandez, if any of you remember him, Becky Chadwick, and Terry Hagan. Without them, I don't think we would have had such a good search and we had such a good outcome. Now, next year, this has been a busy year. We had the redistricting of the P through 12. We went through a long process to hire this gentleman, and we had a millage to do. So there were a lot of things that had to be accomplished this year, but next year's even bigger, because I talked to Dr. Maleko and Mr. Cavaluna, and both areas, the college as well as the P12, will be going into strategic planning next year. And there's nothing, well, hiring the president, making sure that that our finances are supportive of the continuation of the college and the P12 is very important work for the board, but the strategic plan is critical. And if we do the strategic plan well and come up with specific measurable objectives, goals that relate to the mission and to the vision for the college, then, and for the P12, then the job of the board is very, very easy. All I have to do is to see if the superintendent and the president are actually achieving those goals. So there's very hard work to do next year, very serious work to do next year. And I appreciate that Ms. Petlikoff will be the chair next year, because she has extensive experience. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody to support me in this particular role, and I'll be very glad to go sit in that last chair. Okay.
Dr. Mead?
Yes.
I have to say a few words,
Oh,
if
okay.
I may. We said this at the last meeting as well. Today, I also want to thank you for your service, Dr. Mead. I think that I've truly been so proud and honored to serve under your leadership. And for those that know Dr. Mead, especially his love for the college, and he's always in the trenches wanting to make sure that the college is at its best, doing its best. And this year he wanted to make sure that there was only the best leader leading this college. And I remember throughout the search, it really was like Christmas for Dr. Mead, I think, when he first met President Cavaluna. And
True.
And I remember him being so excited about a vision for the college, and just leadership that's going to take the college to even the next level. One time I saw Dr. Mead, he was so excited. I said, "So how's the search going, Dr. Mead?" He didn't tell me the name, but he said, "One candidate had me dancing in my seat, and he can't wait till you meet that candidate." And that was President Cavalluna. But this year has not been an easy year. It's been a tough year for the college, and we've had a lot of exciting things happening at P-12 under your leadership as well. And I think that both the board, obviously President Cavalluna and Dr. Maleko, we're very lucky to have you by their side leading the way. And so thank you again for your leadership, and I look forward to Chair Petlicoff's leadership as well, so.
Thank you for your kind words. Next item?
Next item, future meeting dates. Thursday, January 10, 2019, P through 12 policy training, 5:30 p.m. at the Administrative Service Center in the Frenchy Boardroom. Monday, January 14, 2019, P through 12 organizational meeting, 6:45 p.m. at the Administrative Service Center in the Frenchy Boardroom. Monday, January 14, 2019, P through 12 Board of Education meeting, 7 p.m. at the Administrative Service Center in the Frenchy Boardroom. Saturday, January 19, 2019, Henry Ford College Board of Trustees retreat, 9 a.m. at the Administrative Service and Conference Center in the Rosenau Boardroom. And Tuesday, January 22, 2019, Henry Ford College regular Board of Trustees meeting, 7 p.m. at the Administrative Service and Conference Center in the Rosenau Boardroom. Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
All right. We are adjourned. Mayor.
Sign. 7:55.
Yeah, that wasn't bad, huh?
I was worried when Trustee Hamud talked, I'm like, oh no, you're gonna go over the time I said. But it was good.
I swear to God.
Made it just like by 2 seconds.